car chases tearing through busy shopping malls, terrifying escalator malfunctions, and expert-level robberies. These are more disturbing things captured by mall security cameras. Now this is some insane footage. Watch as this car smashes right through the glass doors of a parking lot into a mall. And this is where the car ended up. On the escalator. So on November 2nd, 2025, at the Fuente shopping center in Paraguay, a car crashed into the mall. According to the driver, the accelerator got stuck. Both the driver and her 71-year-old passenger were immediately rushed to the hospital. Fortunately, they lived and nobody was hurt. But man, I've had nightmares about being in this kind of situation, like driving along and then suddenly you just lose control of your car and you floor it in oncoming traffic or a crowd of people. This is like a real-life version of that. Well, I think I've just unlocked a new fear. This happened back in 2017 at a mall in Hong Kong. At least 18 people were injured when an escalator suddenly malfunctioned and reversed direction. The upward moving escalator suddenly flipped and started running downward, but not only that, it was at a much faster speed than normal, about twice as fast. People lost their balance and started tumbling as the escalator rocketed them back down, and of course, people started piling up the bottom as more and more people crashed down. Ambulances rushed to the scene and multiple people were taken to nearby hospitals. Police said one man suffered a head injury and was in serious condition. Mall representatives said the escalator had been running for years without issues. They also said it had recently passed inspection and there weren't any known mechanical problems or safety concerns at the time. Next up, we have this security footage of a major burglary. In Northridge back in 2023, a coordinated smash and grab hit a strip mall. And it wasn't just one store getting targeted, multiple were hit. This involved a lot of planning. The footage shows a group of at least 8 masked robbers moving through the plaza together. One of them is wearing a Jason mask, another is carrying what looks like a saw, multiple vehicles were involved, and there was a lookout positioned outside while the rest moved in. The first hit was a supermarket where they broke in, quickly pushing deeper into the strip mall. Once inside, they hit ATMs, cash registers. A barber shop was also ransacked with tools, tip money, and anything else of value taken before they moved out. The owner, who chose not to be identified, said it was obviously well organized. Around 4 cars were involved, and it all happened pretty fast, from about 4 a.m. to a little after 4:15. This one comes from a mall in Russia. A girl had wandered away from her mother and got her fingers trapped in the escalator. Dozens and dozens of shoppers rushed to the escalator, jumping onto the moving steps to try and stop it to free her. Others reached the emergency stop controls, and within seconds the escalator was shut down while people tried to get her hand out. One shopper later said people responded at lightning speed by jumping onto the stairs, triggering it to stop moving. Mall staff later said security had been trying to halt the escalator as well, but by the time technicians arrived, visitors had already stepped in. One spokesperson for the mall actually tried to speak out against all the people who stepped in, trying to say responding emotionally could have gotten her or other people seriously hurt. But I mean, what were people supposed to do? Just stand there and wait for workers to turn the escalator off? Insanity. Anyway, luckily the girl was freed and ended up being okay. This police chase led to a truck crashing right into a busy shopping mall. Take a look. This is body camera footage from Killeen Mall in Texas from December 21st, 2024. The pickup was driven by a man named John Darrell Schultz from Kemper, Texas. He'd been running from police after reports of a reckless driver came in from Temple PD. The chase began on the highway, lasting about 11 minutes. Eventually, Schultz pulled off the highway and headed straight into the mall's parking lot, which was packed with Christmas shoppers at the time. And he drove directly through the entrance of a JCPenney. Body cam footage shows the trooper right behind him rushing into the store immediately after. Inside, the truck is still moving, tearing through the building. An officer fires at the driver, who eventually crashes deeper in. Officers confirm the driver had died at the scene, then removed him from the vehicle and secured the area. Inside, it was total chaos though, with people on the ground being treated on the ground for their injuries. But as horrific as this was, nobody died, aside from the perp. That's not the only police chase on the list today though. This next one happened in Melbourne, Australia last year. It's around 4 in the afternoon on a Wednesday when police get a tip about a stolen Toyota Land Cruiser, a big, heavy-duty SUV, spotted in the parking lot of the Northland Shopping Center. So officers rolled up, find the vehicle, and the driver immediately rams an unmarked police car multiple times, then takes off. Now, at this point, most people fleeing the cops would head for the road. This guy went inside the mall. He drove the Land Cruiser directly into the shopping center, through the mall, past storefronts and past the dining area. You could see the SUV navigating the corridor inches from the shops before blasting through a second set of glass doors cars at the other end and disappearing. Now, by some miracle, that section of the mall happened to be mostly empty at the time, so nobody got run over. 2 people were still treated on the scene, though. The Land Cruiser turned up abandoned about an hour later, a few miles away. The driver had run off and managed to stay hidden overnight, but he was arrested the next morning. He was identified from the mall's security footage. Police also confirmed the Land Cruiser had been stolen 2 weeks earlier from a home in the area. Now, this is a really weird one. It was closing time on January 12th, 2024 at the Westbrook Mall in Calgary, Alberta. Security guards noticed a pair of people on one of the security cameras acting kinda odd. They were in the food court. All the restaurants were shut down for the night, but they walked up to one of the counters and started going through the routine. You know, pointing at the menu, nodding, holding up fingers, like going through the motions of paying. And then they walked to the next counter, closed as well, of course. Same routine, exact same gestures, same sequence. Again, no one's behind the counter. I mean, nothing's open. And then suddenly they turned both their heads toward an empty table at the same time, as if someone had just called their name. What do you all think of this one? Were these two just fooling around? Or was something stranger going on? Share your thoughts down in the comments. This crazy footage comes from CCTV cameras at a mall in Dubai. The heist was carried out by a group called the Pink Panthers. They were credited with hundreds and hundreds of heists across 35 countries, from London to Tokyo to Dubai, of course, stealing diamonds and jewelry. The core of the group were ex-soldiers from the wars that tore through Eastern Europe in the 90s. When those conflicts ended, the economy was in the dump, so they turned to smuggling. Ron Noble, who was Secretary General of Interpol at the time, described them as, quote, the most notorious organized crime group that I've been involved in investigating in my life. They were meticulous. They'd do weeks of surveillance before they carried out their job. First, they'd send in some attractive, well-dressed woman blending in as a wealthy shopper. She'd clock the layout, the staff, like any information they'd need to carry out the job as quick and smoothly as possible. From the time they enter the door until they break all the glass in the cases, take the jewelry, and are out in less than 30 seconds, and then they have a getaway plan. In a matter of hours, they're in another country, Noble went on to say. The Dubai job is one of the most famous. They drove 2 cars straight into an upscale mall, crashed them through the doors of a jewelry store, jumped out in full commando gear, calmly smashed the cases, bagged $3.5 million worth in diamonds, got back in the cars, and drove out. The whole thing took under 45 seconds. In Geneva, they hit a luxury store, grabbed $4 million worth of diamonds, and escaped on motorcycles down a side street too narrow for police cars to follow. Swiss detective Jan Glassy, who investigated them for years, called it a cat and mouse game and said the cats usually won. They're always a step before us because they are changing the modus operandi. They are really professionals, he said. In the south of France, after posing as tourists and walking out with over $3 million in jewelry, they escaped by speedboat because the roads were too congested in summer. What made them nearly impossible to shut down was that there was no real leadership structure. There was no single guy at the top to arrest and collapse the whole operation. According to Noble, quote, they got networks, and depending on the robbery, there's someone who organized a particular robbery, but there are no kingpins. There's no Al Capone or John Gotti at the top. And when someone did get caught, they didn't talk. The crew members, many of whom had grown up together, they just kept quiet every time. It also started going after art, and in 2008 they hit a museum in Zurich and walked out with 4 paintings, the largest art robbery in European history at the time. And that has been the video for today. I'll catch you, yes you specifically,